Today's reading is from the New Dictionary of Thoughts. And the quotes are attention, authority, and authorship. Attention. The power of applying attention, steady and undissipated, to a single object is a sure mark of a superior genius. Chesterfield. Few things are impracticable in themselves, or impracticable, and it is for want of application, rather than of means, that men fail of success. Roquefort. Attention makes the genius. All learning, fancy, science, and skill depend upon it. Newton traced his great discoveries to it. It builds bridges, opens new worlds, heals diseases, carries on the business of the world. Without it, taste is useless, and the beauties of literature unobserved. Wilmot. If I have made any improvement in the sciences, it is owing more to patient attention than to anything beside. Sir Isaac Newton. If there be anything that can be called genius, it consists chiefly in ability to give that attention to a subject which keeps it steadily in the mind, till we have surveyed it accurately on all sides. Read. It is attention, more than any difference between minds and men. And this is the source of poetic genius, and of the genius of discovery and science. It was this that led Newton to the invention of fluxions, and the discovery of gravitation, and Harvey to find out the circulation of the blood, and Davy to those views which laid the foundation of modern chemistry. Brodie. Authority. See office. Nothing is more gratifying to the mind of man than power or dominion. Addison. Nothing sooner overthrows a weak head than opinion of authority, like too strong liquor for a frail glass. Sir P. Sidney. Nothing more impairs authority than a too frequent or indiscreet use of it. If thunder itself was to be continual, it would excite no more terror than the noise of a mill. Man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, plays such fantastic tricks before high heaven as make the angels weep. Shakespeare. They that govern make least noise, as they that row the barge do work and puff and sweat, while he that governs sits quietly at the stern, and scarce is seen to stir. Selden. He who is firmly seated in authority soon learns to think security, and not progress, the highest lesson of statecraft. J. R. Lau. Authorship. Authorship, according to the spirit in which it is pursued, is in infancy a pastime, a labor, a handicraft, an art, a science, or a virtue. Schlegel. The two most engaging powers of an author are to make new things familiar, and familiar things new. Johnson. It is quite as much of a trade to make a book as to make a clock. It requires more than mere genius to be an author. Breyer. No author is so poor that he cannot be of some service, if only as a witness of his time. Fauché. To write well is to think well, to feel well, and to render well. It is to possess at once intellect, soul, and taste. Buffon. He who purposes to be an author should first be a student. Dryden. Never write on a subject without first having read yourself full on it, and never read on a subject till you have thought yourself hungry on it. Richter. Clear writers, like clear fountains, do not seem to so deep as they are. The turbid seem the most profound. Landor. No fathers or mothers think their own children ugly, and this self-deceit is yet stronger with respect to the offspring of the mind. Cervantes. The most original authors are not so because they advance what is new, but because they put what they have to say as if it had never been said before. Goethe. The chief glory of a country, says Johnson, arises from its authors, but this is only when they are oracles of wisdom. Unless they teach virtue, they are more worthy of a halter than of the laurel. Jane Porter. Next to doing things that deserve to be written, nothing gets a man more credit or gives him more pleasure than to write things that deserve to be read. Chesterfield. There are 3 difficulties in authorship: to write anything worth publishing, to find honest men to publish it, and to get sensible men to read it. Colton. Talent alone cannot make a writer. There must be a man behind the book. Emerson. Every author, in some degree, portrays himself in his works, even if it be against his will. Goethe. Writers are the main landmarks of the past. Bulwer. A great writer is the friend and benefactor of his readers. Macaulay. Continuing, after the interruption, satire lies about men of letters during their lives, and eulogy after their death. Voltaire. It is doubtful whether mankind are most indebted to those who, like Bacon and Butler, dig the gold from the mine of literature, or to those who, like Paley, purify it, stamp it, fix its real value, and give it currency and utility. Colton. Authorship is a royal priesthood, but woe to him who rashly lays unhallowed hands on the ark or altar, professing a zeal for the welfare of the race, only to secure his own selfish ends. Horace Greeley. Halfway through? Okay, I will continue. Autumn. The melancholy days are come, the saddest of the year. Bryant. A moral character is attached to autumnal scenes. The flowers fading like our hopes, the leaves falling like our years, the clouds fleeting like our illusions, the light diminishing like our intelligence, the sun growing colder like our affections, the rivers becoming frozen like our lives, all bear secret relations to our destinies. Chateaubriand. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Season of mist and mellow fruitfulness. Keats. The Sabbath of the year. Logan. Magnificent autumn. He comes not like a pilgrim, clad in russet weeds, not like a hermit clad in gray, but like a warrior with the stain of blood on his brazen mail, his crimson scarf rent, his scarlet banner dripping with gore, his step like a flail on the threshing floor. Longfellow. The leaves in autumn do not change color from the blighting touch of frost, but from the process of natural decay. They fall when the fruit is ripened and their work is done, and their splendid coloring is but their graceful and beautiful surrender of life when they have finished their summer offering of service to God and man. And one of the great lessons the fall of the leaf teaches is this: do your work well, and then be ready to depart when God shall call. Tryon Edwards. The tenants of autumn, a mighty flower garden, blossoming under the spell of the enchanter. Frost. Whittier. Who at this season does not feel impressed with the sentiment of melancholy? A. Allison. Oh, it sets my heart a-clickin' like the tickin' of a clock when the frost is on the punkin and the fodder's in the shock. James Whitcomb Riley. Avarice. Avarice is the vice of declining years. Bancroft. The lust of avarice has so totally seized upon mankind that their wealth seems rather to possess them than they to possess their wealth. Pliny. We are but stewards of what we falsely call our own. Yet avarice is so insatiable that it is not in the power of abundance to content it. Seneca. Poverty wants some things, luxury many, avarice all things. Cowley. Avarice is wider than injustice, and all fallen nations lost liberty through avarice, which engendered injustice. Austin O'Malley. Avarice increases with the increasing pile of gold. Juvenal. Avarice is to the intellect and heart what sensuality is to the morals. Anna Jameson. The lust of gold, unfeeling and remorseless, the last corruption of degenerate man. Johnson. The avaricious man is like the barren, sandy ground of the desert, which sucks in all the rain and dew with greediness, but yields no fruitful herbs or plants for the benefit of others. Zeno. All the good things of the world are no further good to us than as they are of use, and of all we may heap up, we enjoy only as much as we can use, and no more. Defoe. Avarice in old age is foolish, for what can be more absurd than to increase our provisions for the road the nearer we approach to our journey's end? Cicero. How widely has he lost himself who has become a slave to his servant, and exalts him to the dignity of his maker. Pym. Aviation. Lindbergh flies alone. Alone? Is he alone at whose right side rides courage, with skill within the cockpit and faith upon his left? Does solitude surround the brave when adventure leads the way, and ambition reads the dials? Is there no company with him for whom the air is cleft by daring, and the darkness is made light by emprise? True, the fragile bodies of his weaker fellows do not weigh down his plane. True, the fretful minds of weaker men are lacking from his crowded cabin. But as his airship keeps her course, he holds communion with those rarer spirits that inspire to intrepidity, and by their sustaining potency give strength to arm, resource to mind, content to soul. Alone? With what other companions would that man fly to whom the choice is given? Editorial in the New York Sun. For I dipped into the future, far as human eye can see, saw the vision of the world and all the wonder that would be, saw the heavens filled with commerce, argosies of magic sails, pilots of the purple twilight dropping down with costly bales, heard the heavens filled with shouting, and there rained a ghastly dew from the nation's airy navies, grappling in the central blue. Tennyson. To aeronautics one finds new things only by looking for them. Sirva. A bird is an instrument working according to the mathematical law, which instrument is within the capacity of man to reproduce with all its movements. Leonardo da Vinci.